So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, The Occult View. Pardon me, I'm eating my breakfast. A bowl of raisin bran. But let's have a little chat. You all know that I have a new guilty pleasure. And it's Pop the Balloon. I look at the I look at the original version with Arlette and her husband BM. I tried to look at the one for the Congo, but they speak French, I believe. So I speak English. So then I look at the one with Pointer, even though I don't care for Pointer like that. But I do like the entertainment value. I don't care for him because he's always making slick homophobic remarks. And when you look at him, he shouldn't be talking about anybody. Just my personal opinion. Then you have the one with Deshae Shelton, the Love Mountain edition. Love that one. But even that one straddles on. I love Deshae and Christian Olivier. I love them. And I like Arlette and the presentation of, the platform. But some of those people that come on that show, how can I put this? I want to believe that people are really looking for love to come on that show. I think maybe the women are, but the men, I don't know. Here's what I'm talking about. For those of you who watch Pop the Balloon, I know you saw what happened yesterday with the guy named William when BM had to put him off of the show. BM is Arlette's husband. He's also the producer, and I think he's the creator of the Pop the Balloon franchises, right? He chin checked him and put him off of the show. I think he had been on this guy William. He's in his 20s and he had been on previous episodes from what I gather, from what I was reading in the comments. But here was the problem. This is what led up to BM putting him off the show. And the reason that I'm talking about this is because there's always a bigger picture. For those people who watch Pop the Balloon, you already know how it goes. Once you reach one balloon, meaning one person that you're interacting with, you go up to the front of the studio with Arlette. You two, the two people who found interest in one another, you start deciding if it's going to be a match. This guy, William, he matched 4 times in that episode, about 3 or 4 times with three or four of the women, and he popped on them after the final decision, within the final decision moment. And the last one that he popped on in that final decision moment, BM said, you know what? He's got to go. And even Arlette, I could see her face. Arlette was pissed the fuck off. She was pissed. And BM made him leave. BM made him leave. And he should have made him leave. But here's my problem. I knew that that guy William was a red flag. I already knew. I have a gift. It's called wisdom. And I know when men are trouble. I know when women are trouble. But I mainly know when men are trouble because I've dealt with so many of them. Number one, that guy William, he doesn't like black women. And I'm going to tell women something. You have to be suspicious of any man that you're trying to date that has two earrings in both ears. I don't care if they're really small, but that is a symbol. Even if he doesn't know that that's a symbol. Now, if they have an earring in one ear, that's fine. But this dude had earrings in both ears. That's a sign of metrosexuality, bisexuality, etc., etc. And there's nothing wrong with that when you're living in your truth and you're being honest. But we don't live in an honest society. We don't. You have to be honest despite the consequences sometimes when it comes to your sexual orientation. Now, I'm just giving you my perception of things. I noticed that every woman that came out that he would have interaction with, he would question her as if they were getting ready to get married. He would ask them, "What was your childhood like? What is your relationship with your family?" He revealed that he had a very close relationship with his mother. And then he said, "We are a strong Christian family." He claimed that his sisters were there at the studio with him in the audience. That's what he claimed. I don't believe him though, but that's what he claimed. When he started talking about Christianity and when he started talking more and more, now see, let me tell you where I already knew he was a problem. That's why a lot of black men don't like me because I can see through their bullshit. I can see their insecurities. I can see the cracks in their weak matrix. And that's why a lot of black men don't like me, which I don't give a fuck because I don't like them either a lot of times. And that's just a fact. Remember, honesty. See, this guy, William, is a sociopathic, psychopathic person. And you can tell by the smirk that was on his face that he really doesn't like black women. He put black women through that line of questioning to torment them. He put black women through that line of questioning not because he was trying to be inquisitive, because he was actually interested in getting to know them. He did that as a humiliation ritual and as a humiliation tactic. Then he kept bringing up, here's another red flag that women need to watch out for. When men are constantly bringing up fitness, meaning, going to the gym and shit like that. Well, let's be honest. A lot of those niggas in the gym are gay and bisexual. Let's just be totally honest. And my thing is, women are not supposed to have bodies like men. Women are not supposed, unless she wants to, that's her choice. We're not talking about being healthy. They're talking about women looking more like men, but then in the same breath, you keep talking about you want someone that's feminine. You can't be useless and useful at the same time. Okay? You can't. There's just no room for that. They keep talking about athletics. They put a lot of emphasis on, oh, your body has to be toned like this. A woman's body does not have to be toned. Women can carry body fat. It's us that needs to be toned. And I'm talking about my big ass too. Okay? Remember, sometimes you got to tell the truth. It's us that are supposed to be toned. But you have these Oswald Cobblepot dudes running around thinking that they have options. Now, this guy, William, he was toned and chiseled. He was a nice looking guy, but he's sick and he's psychotic mentally, which makes him look ugly. And then I saw when he licked his lips, he had a bunch of white, he had a white coating on his tongue, which is considered thrash, which is a sign of something else that I'm not going to name. But y'all know what it is. Not saying he got it, not saying he don't. Every woman that tried to connect with him and took him up to the front for the final decision, he would humiliate her. That was to humiliate those black women. And then he said that he had a very close relationship with his mom, right? He said he had a very close relationship with his mom, and that basically he was a mama's boy. And that basically his mom and his sisters, they're the ones who, how can I put it? His mom and his sisters, they're the ones who he fashions his type of woman after. So he wants a woman that looks like his mother or his sister. When I hear people say that, and I know it may be innocent for most people to say that, but when I hear men say stuff like that, especially, to me, that's creepy and that's weird. I don't want no man that looks like my brother. That would repulse me. And if I was into women, I don't want no woman that looks like my mother. I want the total opposite. And I don't understand how we have gotten so comfortable in this society that we can say things like that. To me, that is creepy. I don't want no man that's like my brother. I don't want no man that's like my father. I don't want no, if I wanted a woman, I don't want no woman that's like my mother or look like my mother. That's weird. But of course, I just think differently. He kept saying that too. He kept saying that. And then you saw the smirk on his face. Now, at first, I was feeling him. I don't remember him being on prior episodes. I don't remember, but people said that he was. So maybe he was. I found his behavior very disturbing because of the simple fact that he's a sociopath. And he's a sociopathic person at a young age. And if we take what he says seriously, if we can believe what he said, if he's telling the truth, he's basically saying that he got these sociopathic tendencies from his mother. That's what he's trying to say. He's trying to say that he got those tendencies from his mother. But what really disturbed me about him was the fact that at first I thought he was a nice guy. I thought he was cool. I said, yeah, he's a Christian, but that plays a part in his psychotic nature as well. I said, oh, okay. Towards the end of the show, when BM kicked him off, his real personality came out. But when he was standing in the lineup in the beginning, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I said, oh, he's just a Christian boy, typical Christian guy, whatever the case may be. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. But then, however, as the show progressed, I began to see the real him come out. I began to see the psychopathic nature and the sociopathic nature come out. Much like the person who I used to be cool with. Remember, I brought him on my channel and I interviewed him. Much like that individual did to me, over the course of time, black men, they can't stick to a script. They can't stick to their script because most of them are reading from a script and they will pretend that they're cool or they're cool with you, but over the course of your relationship with them, whether it be a platonic friendship like I had with this individual, their cracks begin to show. Their mental disease and mental illnesses begin to show. Same thing with this person, William. So I started to see him morph into a totally different person. I said, oh, this is the Norman Bates effect. I said, okay. He's in an emotionally incestuous relationship with his mother. I said, that's what's going on. It's the same concept with Norman Bates. Remember in Psycho, whenever Norman Bates became interested in a woman, how can I put it? His alter ego, which was his mother, he had an alternate personality, which was his mother, whom he killed. She would come out, the personality of his mother. And then remember, she would murder the women. He would murder the women. And I said, oh, this nigga is Norman Bates. So whenever he finds a woman attractive, because each woman that he got to that final decision point with, he claimed he found her attractive and that she was his type. But as soon as he got up to the podium, not the podium, but I'm saying that to be, just to give you an idea, you know what I'm talking about. When he got to that last point where they decide if they are a match, he would pop the balloon on them. And then I began to see him go into another personality in the last in the last part of the segment, right before BM kicked him out. I began to see his personality come out. He threw the toothpick across the room aggressively after he popped the balloon with a smirk on his face. Now, his entire personality in the lineup, he was calm, he was respectful. But then the problem was that Nigerian woman that he popped on, the last woman he popped on, he was really attracted to her. But his mother's personality that he has taken on, her religious personality, because he said his mother is really religious and he said his mother is really judgmental. That's similar to Norman Bates' mother, Norma. Remember Norma, for those people, remember Psycho, because this man, William, he's a psycho. Remember in Psycho, Norma Bates was judgmental, she was very domineering, and she was very strict. Remember that. He was talking like he was Norman Bates. And then someone asked him, I think it was one of the women or maybe Arlette, I don't know. They asked him, "Does your mother know that you're here on Pop the Balloon?" He said, "No, because my mother's very judgmental." But in that last segment, before BM kicked him off the show, you saw his true, or you saw the breakdown in his personalities, and you saw the breakdown into his psychosis, and you saw who he really was. And women have to be careful putting yourselves in that predicament on those shows. See, I don't think there's an issue with the show. I think the show is for fun. But the problem is with the contestants. And as much as men want to say, well, women, they rude too on the show. They play games too. Not like you all do, though. Women, while there are women that can be cruel and nasty and hateful, I get that. But usually when a woman speaks, and if she is being blunt and just saying, I don't like what you're wearing, you giving this. Now, there have been women on the show that have been nasty and disrespectful. I get that. But a lot of men, they come with that energy, period. Even if they don't speak it, it's in their aura. So women are just responding to what you are. Remember, women, especially black women, are very spiritual, intuitive beings, and they can see you even when they don't think they can. Now, I'm not making any excuses for any ratchet, disgusting behavior. That's just like on the Love Mountain edition. There was a guy on there who's been on there multiple times. His name is Dre. And he's another red flag. And he's another sociopathic person. And he's a very deceptive, manipulative person. And I don't understand why Deshay and the Love Mountain edition, why do they keep letting him come onto the show? Knowing that the show is for people who want to be in a monogamous relationship. This guy, Dre, he has 3 wives. He's into polygamy. And he tries to manipulate black women in because all 3 of his wives are black. He keeps trying to manipulate black women into being into that shit with him. Then he'll say, they're not having sex with each other. It's a respect thing. Eventually, that's what they're really looking for, though. You know, there's a lot of lesbianism in those relationships sometimes. Because a lot of men, black men, they like stuff like that. That's the point sometimes of them having polygamous or polygamy relationships. And I don't give a fuck who says, well, you wrong, and I don't give a fuck. You try to manipulate black women or women into those sick, perverted relationships. Yes, you do. And that's exactly what he was trying to do with his useless motherfucking ass. Number one, he's not even all that attractive. This dude Dre. Now the dude William, he was fine as shit. I'm not gonna take that away from him. He was good looking. He was real good looking. He kind of puts you in the mind of the rapper B.O.B., who's also attractive. But that dude Dre, not so good looking. But how many? How can I put it? How much are we going to overlook the mental illness and diseases of these men? That's the bigger picture. So going back to this guy William, he's under the Norman Bates effect. Then someone said they went to his not his Facebook, his Instagram page, and he got a whole white girlfriend. Did you hear me? He got a whole white girlfriend. You know, I've been in situations with bisexual black men where they would do me exactly the same way. Excuse me. They would do me exactly the same way. They would play these psychological mind games, knowing that they don't like gay men, knowing that particularly they don't like gay black men, because there are a lot of black men, and I've talked about this throughout the years. I don't really care about it anymore because I'm not really into black men like that. I'm not really into nobody like that, to be honest with you. So it doesn't bother me the way that it did then, but it used to bother me a lot. But there are a lot of black men who mess around on the DL and they don't like gay black men. Just like there are a lot of straight black men who try to humiliate black women because they don't really like black women. But what they will do is they will like this diseased mind man William, they will come on to shows like Pop the Balloon. In my case, it was, either dating apps or clubs. They will come into the space where there are black women or gay black men. They will come into that space and they will pretend like they're interested in you only so they can humiliate you in the end and reject you. White men do the same thing. White men who are racist, even though they don't like black people, they will come into the space and they will make you think that they have an interest in you, but then they get a thrill out of rejecting you. Black men do the same thing. They play these type of psychological mind games. And that is why I said that black women have to be careful dealing with some of these men on Pop the Balloon. I would encourage, if you do go and Pop the Balloon, I would encourage you, if you're religious, that's your business. But any man that says that he is religious and starts asking you questions about your relationship with God and all of that, run for the hills. Men, if a woman starts asking you that, run for the hills, because no, you don't have to explain your relationship with God to somebody on national TV. That is a private spiritual matter between you and whatever God you serve. And I find those questions very, very combative. I find them very, very offensive in its connotation. I don't have to explain to you what my spirituality is. Why are relationships built on the contingency of if you're religious or not? That's why most of you stupid motherfuckers, the men and the women, that's why you're not making no motherfucking matches. Because you keep adding religion to it. And the people that watch me, you shouldn't be upset with me saying that because you shouldn't be religious if you're over here looking at me. But that show really reminded me so much of the games I've had to put up with in my life dealing with black men and their psychopathic nature. They will morph into a different personality right in front of you. A lot of black men have borderline personality disorder. A lot of black men are schizophrenic. A lot of black men are bipolar and it's untreated. A lot of black men have mental diseases, like that guy William. And his mental illness came out on Pop the Balloon. And of course, he's not going to recognize that because most people that are crazy don't know that they're crazy. You know that saying, most people that are crazy don't know that they're crazy. See, I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy, but my type of crazy is not trying to hurt, harm, and force anything on anyone. My type of crazy is I like shit to be done in a meticulous way. Like in my house, I am crazy particular how I want my house to look. I am persnickety about that. There's certain things I like a particular way. I'm a Virgo. So that's my crazy. You know, that's my crazy. But their crazy is to harm people. And a lot of those young women are in their 20s, just like a lot of those young men on the show are in their 20s. And this cannot be chopped up to being immature. That motherfucker was 26 or 27 years old. He knows better. He knows better. And then he said that he's a construction supervisor for some type of construction company. I hope they fire him. I hope they fire him. I hope they see that clip and I hope they fire him. Because that type of prejudice and that type of humiliation that he was doing, he will get with female clients who are boss women and he will fuck up the contract for that company. Because he's up under the Norman Bates effect. He claims that he loves his mother and he loves his sister. No, he don't. He hates black women. He hates black women. That is why he's on its. That's why he's on its. That's why I keep wanting to call him an it. That's why he's on his Instagram page with no black women in sight. Then he kept bringing up fitness. Any dude, that's another red flag. If a dude keeps bringing up fitness, run for the hills, especially when you're not overweight. A lot of the women that he was attacking, they were thick, but they were not fat. One girl, she said that she works out 5 days a week. He told her he did the same thing. He went all the way to the final decision point where they make a decision if they're a match. He went all the way to that final decision point when it was just him and her, and he popped the balloon and said, "Yeah, I don't think you work out as much as you claim you do." And I said to myself, motherfucker, just get you a man. You want somebody to be your gym buddy? Get you a man. Ain't no woman gonna be your gym buddy. Get you a man. And you niggas running to the gym, working out, running, and doing all this shit, and you still dropping dead from heart attacks. You still dropping dead from strokes. You still getting fucking cancer. You still getting diabetes. So what the fuck are you talking about? And like a spiritual constituent said on their video the other day, a lot of these men that you think are running to the gym, they're not always healthy. A lot of them are going to the gym because a lot of them may have HIV or AIDS and they're trying to maintain their health. So it really kills me when I hear men talk about, oh, you have to be into fitness. Get you a bodybuilding woman then. Your average person is not going to be a bodybuilder. And then he said something that was really interesting. I said, oh, yeah, he needs to get him a man. He wants a man. He said he wants someone that's a carbon copy of himself. Well, to me, that says you want a man. See, we're not listening to these things that these men say. See, that's my crazy. I pick apart and I analyze everything people say. And I'm dissecting it to get to the root of who this person really is. He said he wants a carbon copy of himself. I said he wants a man. I don't want a carbon copy of myself. I want someone different. I don't want a carbon copy of myself. I don't want no big muscular guy either. I'm not into those type of men. I'm not. They don't turn me on. They just don't. I like an average normal guy. The muscle guys always in the gym, I don't want them, but for some reason, they're always after me. They always after my chubby behind. But I don't want them. Real talk. I'm very particular about who I want in my house and in my bed. I'm very particular. You can be the most nice looking, muscular, you can or whatever, but if your spirit is foul, and most of their spirits are foul, they have a lot of bad juju around them. A lot of bad juju. So when you hear these niggas talking about, oh, I'm into fitness. You gotta be this and you gotta be that. You gotta look like me. That means he wants a man, girls. That means he wants a man. Mm-hmm. And my thing is, then if you like a person, if you really like a person, and you really are trying to work with the person, then you encourage them to be healthier in a respectful way. You don't do it in an abusive, malicious way. Black men don't know how to be respectful. Let's be honest. They don't know how to be respectful. That's why you have black men 60 some years old still talking about they looking for their soulmate. What have you been doing for the past 60 years? On the Pop the Balloon show for Pointer, the the last talk show version, there was a guy on there claiming to be in his early 70s. He looked to be about 80 some years old. And the women asked him, "You've never been married?" He said, "No, I just never found the right woman." What have you been doing for the past 80 years? Now, there's nothing wrong if you haven't been married. But when you try to apply these same standards to women, people have a right to question you. Yes, I give women a little bit more leeway than I do men because women have to contend with a lot more than men do. It's not it's not condoning ratchet disgusting behavior because I'll call that out too if I have to, but women have a lot more to contend with. You mean to tell me you're a grown ass man and you 60 years old and you mean to tell me you've been incapable of finding a woman? All of these women out here that want straight heterosexual men? No, the reason I'm bringing this up is because the reason that they can't find any women is because they keep looking for men. You keep asking for feminine women, But the description that you give of the person that you're looking for is a whole dude. I don't know too many muscular women. Women are supposed to have body fat because of the mechanism in which their bodies are made. They carry babies and they retain more body fat than we do. It's just that the universe made me a little thicker because I got a little bit of femininity with me. So that's just how the universe made me. And if you got a problem with that, you're going to have to deal with the almighty universe. So, in closing, you got to be careful. Women have to be careful, especially black women going on these pop the balloon shows. Because a lot of these black men, they are brutal, they are abusive, and they are psychotic, and they have mental illness. Then, after they kicked William off, a sister came out. She was in shape. Um, she wasn't bad looking. She had her own natural attributes, no stomach, nice shape, and they all rejected her. If that were a white girl that came out there with blue and pink hair, all of them niggas wouldn't, they would have been trying to get at her. But the fact of the matter is, black men, just admit it. You just don't like black women. Just admit it and stop humiliating and wasting. That's the part. It's the humiliation and the time wasting. You just don't like black women. Hell, I don't think y'all niggas like women. So if you don't like women, come on over to my side. Come on home to Papa. If you don't like women, come on over here to Papa. Stop bothering these women. Stop playing games in their face and come to Big Papa, honey. Come on, come to Papa. Okay? That includes Andrew Tate and the rest of them. Come on to Papa and let me tell you a few things. Come on over to my side because that's what you all really want to do. But because you're ritualistic homosexuals, living in your truth and living a life of love, that repulses you because you're a ritualistic homosexual. And that is the mental illness that is associated with homosexuality. It's not about you being an openly gay person like they want you to believe, oh, they're mentally ill. No, those homosexuals are mentally ill because they're ritualistic homosexuals. And their homosexuality is based upon trauma, abuse, and psychosis. Like that guy, William, abuse, trauma, and psychosis. Abuse, trauma, psychosis. ATP. ATP homosexuals. He walking around with two motherfucking earrings in his ear talking about he's a man of God. Where, bitch? How, bitch? Where? Yeah, I know you didn't tell your mother you was going on that show. But you want to come on the show and you want to humiliate black women when you are the humiliation. That's why I was so glad when BM is an African black man. I'm so glad he checked that motherfucker. That motherfucker left the stage with his head held down. Good. He deserved to be humiliated. The way he was trying to humiliate those black women. He deserved to be humiliated. You are the humiliation. You are the ritual. You know what? The comedian Leslie Jones, she said something that I really rock with. She said that if a man cannot be part of her peace, he can be part of her door. She said that she said she's getting tired of people talking about she don't love men. She said, why wouldn't a man want her? She's rich, she can fight, she's intelligent, and she said she ain't apologizing to none of you motherfucking niggas for being who she is. She said she love men, but she ain't putting up with your motherfucking shit. A lot of you niggas, you too bitch made. That's the fucking problem. You bitch made. And then you want to call somebody a simp. How can you call somebody a simp when you're playing little girl games? Even in my lifestyle, in my world, the gay world, y'all do the same motherfucking bullshit. Playing fucking little girl games. But yet you want to call other people simps. That's why I say you ain't no king. You ain't no king and you ain't no emperor. You are a follower. And that guy, William, he's a follower. There's no king in him. He don't have no king energy. He talks really soft. He talks really effeminate. I talk more masculine than he did. And then you niggas got the nerve to be walking around here in skinny, tight jeans. Like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that because, you know, there's a lot of humiliation rituals going on. And they're constantly using black women for these rituals. Black women coming on Pop the Balloon to find some type of connection or love or something, and then they're setting them up with psychotic ATPs, abuse, trauma, and psychosis types of men, like that dude Dre. They're getting set up with Dre's and Williams. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit, man. Anyway, this is the occult view. I may come back and talk about something else, but this is the occult view. Thank you.